And for now, it's time for the Morning Buzz, and comedian Bill Chott is back. And, you know, it's Deflategate's a big story with the Patriots going on. I mean, is this a big story to everyone?
I think it's overinflated, if you ask me. First of all, you know I'm not the world's biggest football fan. So to me, this is like, was there extra green screen editing going on in this year's Oscar picks?
Well, and who feels those things?
Yeah, exactly.
How do they manage,
who has time to put their
ball?
hands on every ball and make sure it's the right level of
you would think
inflation?
there's an inspector, an inflation
but you know,
inspector.
Who wants that job?
You know, I'm a big Tom Brady fan. You know, go blue. I'm always putting out there.
Yeah.
But this, you know, they've had a long history of, like, you know, cheating things, and nobody is trusting this team. And
I don't trust the whole NFL. This whole culture we're talking about. We look the other way when they beat their wives, their children.
That's okay, yeah.
When they get into car accidents, when they do drugs. Oh my gosh! The ball wasn't inflated 110%.
Don't touch the footballs.
When they get them out of those bags, they beat the heck out of them anyway. Because they want to make sure that it's right for every quarterback. Every quarterback's got their own special feel. They talk about they'll throw them a ball, and sometimes they'll just throw it away like a hot potato. They don't want anything to do about it.
You would think that somebody was watching them or checking to see.
It's the same thing with pine tar on the bats. If it's really that big of a deal, put a guy whose job it is to make sure it's not
Vaseline on your cap with your ball.
The thing is, they did inspect them, and they were fine at inspection, and then slowly 11 of the 12 balls were a little lighter, all according to Tom Brady's specification, liking, I guess. But both of them's like, I don't know, I'm not a cheater, but, you know, you've had a history here.
Yeah.
But speaking, President Obama...
Never trust anybody who tells you they're a patriot. Anyway.
I'm not a cheater. I'm not a cheater. But anyway, President Obama talked about a lot of stuff during the State of the Union, and one of the things that he had put out there was free college tuition for some students. And, you know, I love people like Ann Coulter, who unfortunately also go blue, Ann, go blue. But she's like, you know, this is just bringing down the middle class, and, you know, not everyone needs college. And I love when people who have 2 college degrees say, oh, not everyone needs college. But if someone is fighting for their minimum wage job, they say, oh, well, you're lazy. You should really do more with your life. How does this work out?
I think the only person who benefits from a lack of education is Ann Coulter.
She did get a good degree from the University of Michigan Law School, but it's not my fault what happened after.
She depends upon underinformed people, right? So she's just increasing her population base.
Well, and I think sometimes free is not always the best thing. Do you value something that's always free, or when you put a little effort into something, is it more valuable to you? I guess that's the question.
Yeah.
But it is getting out of reach for a lot of students to pay for
Well,
colleges.
they're just talking about community college, and it's really expensive on a university level for a 4-year degree. That's not, we're not even tapping into that issue.
Yeah, well, not everybody's lucky enough to live in a town with, like, you know, Pasadena Community College.
Exactly.
Right.
Not everybody's got as great a community college, but I think the community college system in America should remain worthless.
Oh, God. Well, we're going to move on, Bill, because you're from Ferguson, Missouri. I know you were out
from
here.
St. Louis, and I grew up like right around Ferguson. Yeah.
Well, Ferguson is still in the news because it sounds like the feds are going to drop the charges, the civil rights charges, violation charges against Officer Darren Wilson. And, you know, I just feel from the very beginning of the story with Michael Brown, it was much bigger than Michael Brown. It was much bigger than Darren Wilson.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people on the other side are like, see, we told you there's no violations. You know, the feds aren't doing anything about this. But there's a lot more that needs to be changed that this case isn't going to address.
And there's a lot more beyond Darren Wilson, I think, that needs to be challenged in this case. There was so much misinformation given to the jury by the prosecuting attorney. I think that needs to be looked into, and I don't think that guy's going to walk away so easily.
So there's perjury.
Yeah.
Saying
Well,
not perjury. It wasn't he was under oath, but he was knowingly giving people wrong information, and then right before he asked them to give a decision, he said, some of the information we gave you may or may not have been accurate.
Well, the feds did their own.
Exactly.
They did their own investigation, so they are coming to the same conclusion. But obviously, there's a higher caliber to reach a civil rights violations than, you know, was it right or wrong. But I think the main thing with a lot of these officer situations is when 99% of the time officers are not being charged, that's where the larger
It's under the guise of
question
their
is.
job, and so their unions, just like the teachers' unions and other unions, they come in and swoop and take care of their own, whether it's right situation or wrong, really.
Yeah.
Well, we need to take care of our own, our people.
We do,
Yeah.
and we also have to understand what it's like to be in one of those situations for a police officer.
And again, that's why it's bigger than this situation. You can't just look at an individual situation, but when, majority of the officers in this very African American community are white, that's an issue that needs to be addressed. But we're going to talk about the Pasadena embezzlement scandal
It
because
just keeps going and going on, doesn't it?
it does. They let go. I say they are or consciously uncoupling from two of their staffers because they're very non-committal. Yes, we're letting them go, but it's not about this. So what is it about? Show me what you're doing to handle this situation. And I don't feel confident in their.
I think they're trying to
what they're
save
trying to
face.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I used to work in banking before I went into comedy, and I know that it's
What? That's a story right there.
Moments, counting
Let me
the
talk
money.
about
Yeah,
comedy as a joke.
You
Can I? But no, I found through that process how easy it is to embezzle, right? That's how I paid for my
office
college
space,
education.
Just taking a penny.
So you don't have a student loan.
What's that?
So you
No,
don't have a
I
student
just
loan.
finished off paying off my student loans. I think 3 years ago. That's how sad the state of
Oh, I'm
student
still
loans is.
paying off student loans.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the thing is,
You probably went to a better school.
but I just feel like they aren't really addressing. They're taking it seriously. They're obviously everyone's on high alert, but they're being very non-committal about what steps they're going to do to combat this from the future.
They
'Cause
probably
it's a
don't
huge amount of
know. I
money.
mean, how often does somebody steal $6.3 million from?
But they're always telling us, "Oh, we
happens
got
all
this.
the
We've
time.
got it covered."
Insane, though, the length of time that this has been going on. It's crazy.
But it happens all the time. During the Iraq War, how many billions of dollars went missing, unaccounted for? I think the bigger the amount it is, the less time investigation puts into it. Even though there seems to be a larger thing around it, all of a sudden some other quote-unquote scandal will come around and people forget about an embezzlement.
You're right.
And embezzlement I think is a bigger crime almost than murder because it affects so many more lives every time an embezzlement like that happens.
That's an
Seniors
interesting
too.
point
Yep.
we're going to get to
Thank you.
another time. Thanks for coming, Bill.
Thanks for having me.
And you can find him at theimprovtrick.com. So as we get older, birthdays aren't as fun to celebrate anymore. Is it not the truth?
I don't know. I kind of like turning 50. I'm not sure what it'll be like as I get older, but I think we need to embrace where we are and be happy. That's the big thing.
I'm excited.
But when we come back, I'll tell you why your age doesn't define you. Hint, it's all about our experiences next.